Okay, here we are. Hello, everyone. Thank you for tuning into the October edition of Start Talk. I see people on the chat calling in from or tuning in from all over the world here. We got Melbourne, Australia. Danny Catania, how are you? San Jose, Oregon, DC, Bozeman, Montana. Becca, I'm rocking the Montana shirt. Bigger, bolder. Everything's bigger and bolder in Montana. Gotta love it. Utah. We got Mount Pleasant, South Carolina. Sweet. We got people calling in from all over the map. So we're grateful that all of you have joined us. We have a very exciting Start Talk tonight. And for those of you who are new to Start Talk, thanks for tuning in. You know, we do these on the first Monday of every month, and it's really an opportunity for everybody to get their questions answered, you know, really get into the minds of some of the top leaders among Start, our 18 to 35 demographic within Isagenix, you know, really hear about what, you know, some of our top leadership is doing, some income producing activities. We post something on the Facebook page about a week early, and then we allow you to post your questions that you have for the person that we are interviewing. And so this month we have the privilege of introducing the guy I'm about to introduce, he really is a genius. And he's just one of the wisest people you'll ever come across. He has so much wisdom. He's been around this profession of network marketing for a long time. And he's dynamic. He's humble. One of the greatest things I love about him. And he just oozes the Isagenix culture, and he just has a heart of service. So Jason Liu.
Hey, Mr. Cooper, how are you?
I'm doing good, man. So yeah, I see this is your home office here, yes?
Yes. So this is the artwork you get from 3-year-olds right here. So it's not my doing, but yes, that's she's like, Dad, can you put it in your office? I'm like, absolutely. I love that stuff.
Oh, that's awesome. We all love watching your daughter, Aiden. I know she's featured on our Start Your Life video, and I know she's your pride and joy, and such a cool, I know one of your big reasons why. So where are you calling in from?
So this is San Mateo, California. So I'm about 15 miles south of San Francisco, about 30 minutes north of San Jose. So I'm right in the heart of kind of Silicon Valley here.
Awesome. Well, I know we got a big contingency from Northern California tuning in tonight. I was actually born in Carmel, and so love it. NorCal, go Warriors.
Go Dubs.
Yeah, there you go. Okay, so let's get into it tonight. So first thing I want to ask you is, you know, one unique thing about you is you have been around this profession, even though you're a young guy. You've been around network marketing for a long time. You were a top income earner in a previous company, and I know you left because of some issues you had with the company. But just talk to us a little bit about why you chose Isagenix, and you know, you've been around the industry, and you had some kind of I guess hardships with the profession. But why did you keep coming back to this profession of network marketing?
It's a great question. You know, I think it's been 14 years for me now in network marketing. I got started when I was 18, right in college. I think my dad had handed me a book, Rich Dad Poor Dad, when I was 17, and you know, in there they talk about passive residual income, and I'm going to college, and I'm like, you know, where's the residual income class? Like, where do I learn about this? And it wasn't until I kind of discovered network marketing that the light bulbs went on, and I think I began to see and connect the dots and say, well, this really could be something. So I was with one company since I was 18 for about 8.5 years. Believe it or not, I was kind of like a rep 7 in that company. So long story short, we did really well. We did decently well in the company, became top income earners. And the challenge was the company began to go through changes at the management level. And there were things that happened from an integrity standpoint that we kind of knew when you kind of look at someone in the face and you want to be honest about what it is that you do and be integral about what it is that you do. And we began to get to that point where I said, I don't know if I like the person that I'm becoming. I mean, you are who you surround yourself with. And I honestly couldn't look people in the face anymore and be excited about what I did. So 2009, I think we began to really understand that we were going to probably leave that company. And we took about 8 months and looked at about 30 companies. We flew out to 8. We interviewed multiple management teams. And for us, the question was, we wanted a shot at a home. We wanted a shot at a legacy company. We wanted to be in a place where we felt like the company had a shot to do multiple $billion a year, so that we could create something and hopefully pass it on, generationally pass it on. And as you know, we were also at a time and place where we wanted to be parents. We were probably late 20s and looking to start a family. And that last company, I was on the road maybe 20 days out of the month consecutively, time and time again. And we said we wanted to be home. We wanted to be present. I didn't want to miss out on the good stuff, first steps, first words, all that stuff. So, it was definitely a big evaluation process.
Awesome. And so what, because we've got a lot of new people tuning in and new people joining this profession of network marketing every single day. And especially for young people, it's a new venture. A lot of times it's not exactly the most popular thing to do. Not a lot of young people are going out actively saying, gosh, can't wait to be a network marketer. And so this, they're going against the grain, kind of going against the status quo. And so, and as we know, belief in this profession is so huge. And belief in really all areas, whether it be the products, the compensation plan, the management team, as you talked about, but really network marketing, I think is sometimes people struggle with. And when they're out talking to people, that could sometimes come across. And so what is it for you that has really just built your belief in this profession and why you have continued to come back to this profession so that, some new people tuning in saying, gosh, you know what, that's, that really could appeal to me. Right? What is it for you that you love so much about this profession?
I think it's a two-part answer for me. I think from an industry standpoint of network marketing, everything else that I looked at was always trading time for money, or, even going the traditional routes. My wife was a professional cook, and we looked at one point in time in between network marketing companies, would we go out there and own a restaurant? And just the sheer capital, time, investments, learning curve, rate of failure in business. But I think what's really special about network marketing is it gives you a shot to have both the resources and the time. And that's a really rare combination. The more income you make, the more time you essentially have. And in most businesses, it's the exact opposite. The bigger the business you build, the less time you're going to have on your hands. It's a really rare balance where you find both. I think the other interesting thing about the industry is I don't know of any other profession where someone says, look, let me teach you everything I know. Right? Let me, come out your way. Let me go out of my way, even though we're not financially tied to one another. And Eric, I'm going to show you everything I know about the profession. I think it makes it a really unique industry. I think Eric Worre says it best when he says, look, we're not perfect by any stretch of the measure, but we're just better. And I really do believe in that statement that network marketing gives the average person with little capital, a really strong work ethic, and the desire to go out there and create something special, the time and the resources to go do what you want, when you want, with whom you want. It's an incredible profession. So someone can make anywhere from a few hundred to a few thousand to 6 figures to multiple 7-figure income if they really want it to. I think for me, what brought me back was kind of unfinished business. I think that the beautiful thing about network marketing is it holds a mirror up to your face and it highlights the things that you're really great at. Like if you're a great connector, it's going to highlight the fact that you're a great connector. But I think there's also the other half of it too, where you're proportionally paid to your level of leadership. Right? So, if you want to be a well-rounded leader and you're building a team, which is a completely volunteer business, like they don't have to listen to you no matter what your pin level says. But the truth is, if you want to be a great leader, you've got to work on all aspects of your life, all areas of your life. And I think for me, I kind of looked at network marketing and said, you know what? I want to be better. I want to be a better version of myself. And network marketing kind of really, I don't know how to describe it. It really focuses you in on, okay, how can I improve as an individual? And if you're willing to kind of look at that mirror and say, okay, this is the area that I'm lacking in, but if I make an impact, if I make a change in this one area, imagine the lives I'm going to impact. Imagine the people I'm going to be able to impact. So maybe I'm just like glutton for punishment, but I mean, that's what kind of kept me coming back.
Well, that's huge. I mean, I love that point you made about there's very few professions where you kind of go in and it's like everybody wants to just pour the knowledge in on you, say, this is what I know, this is how I can help you. And I've always said that, you know, network marketing, whatever your passion is, network marketing is going to help you in whatever career you end up doing or whatever. I mean, it's just the personal growth that you have because of this profession. And because of that, the people you start to attract in your life will serve you for the rest of your life, regardless of whether you decide to become a full-time network marketer or you're just doing this part-time and you've got, you know, a calling that you're so passionate about. I love hearing that. So first question I want to ask you is, you know, new people getting involved in Isagenix, they want to, there's so many things that we could focus in on, but
Sure.
A lot of people, they want to know, like they look at you or they look at, you know, some of the other top leaders in Start or in Isagenix, and they just want to know, you know, what are those people doing on a daily basis to really produce results? What activities are they focusing on? We like to call them income producing activities. So can you just kind of map out like what your day looks like as far as income producing activities? And maybe, you know, if you're guiding somebody new that's saying, hey, I'm just getting started with this, where do you guide somebody to say, okay, this is where we really need to focus on income producing activities to get you started?
I think there's something to be said about prioritizing. And if there's one thing I can say I wish I would have learned earlier in this business, would have been the power of saying no. I think there really is an opportunity cost to, look, if you're going to build this business, there is sacrifice we're going to have to make to create the time for it. So if you're part-time and saying, look, I've got 5 to 10 hours a week to go out there and build this, or 10 to 15 hours, there's something to be said about really carving out those times and, you know, treating it like a business. I think when I first started, I was kind of lackadaisical. This was really early on in my career. And I've had some great mentors that have said, look, you've got to structure out your day. So, you know, for me, to give you guys an example, I mean, I'm in the office Monday through Friday. I'll go from, you know, I start my day at 8 o'clock. I go until about 11:30, 12 o'clock, and then I shut down. So from 12 until about 1:30, 2 o'clock, I'll be with my family. So, you know, I've got really focused time where, hey, I get to spend time with my daughter and my wife, have a meal, sit down, unplug. That means turning off the phone for those hour and a half that I'm gone. And at 2 o'clock, you know, bam, I'm back in the office, 2 to until about 6:30, 7 o'clock, I'm there. Dinner, bath time, all that fun stuff. And if I really have to do something else, you know, 9 o'clock, I'll do something. Now, I understand that some of you out there may not be full-time, and most of you will not start that way. But I think the same rules apply, saying, look at your week, and if you're really going to make this a priority, okay, scheduling the time in to build your Isagenix business. It could be different every day. I mean, you might be a dad or a mom taking your kid to soccer practice, but you know you're going to have a 45-minute window from, I don't know, 3:30 until, you know, 4:15. Make that, you know, whether there's someone looking over your shoulder or not, make that your specific time. I think being focused and present in exactly what you're doing, whether it be with family or your fitness or your, you know, business, is what is going to make you effective. And I don't think there's anything, and probably, I mean, I wish it was more, but probably 70% of my day right now is prospecting, personal prospecting. You know, I would say that, you know, for anyone brand new, that's probably going to be about the case is, what are you doing to, you know, get better at the craft of connecting with people, genuinely reaching out to people, finding out where Isagenix can be a solution to people. You know, and, you know, if you're new, your other time might be a little bit different. It might be plugging into a conference call, a podcast, a webinar like we're doing right now. But for the most part, it's honing in on the craft of how good are you and how often are you getting into conversations where you have an intent to get a new customer or possibly get a new prospect. So yeah.
Okay, so in that time from, you said 8 to noon, and then from about 2:30 to 6, you are spending 70% of that time just with the sole intention of bringing new people into your business, getting them on the products, you know, casting the vision. That's 70% of your time.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's, And I'll say this, my weakest link in my business, even through 14 years of network marketing, has been my own ability to go out there and personally prospect. Like, I have no problem telling people that. My belief is that in network marketing, you're either going to have one or two strengths. I think that there's people that are genuinely really great at connecting and prospecting. I have a friend of mine, he calls himself the sponsor monster, right? He just sponsors like a ton of people, and they're great at that. I mean, they're your social butterflies, they're your connectors. But I think on the other side of it, you also have people that are really great at building and cultivating. And that's kind of where my strength has always kind of been in the industry, as I've gotten by on cultivating, building, training large organizations. But there's something to be said about, look, if you're not doing it, you can't ask other people to do it. So one of the focus of this year specifically was, what am I doing to go out there and improve those skills in the areas, just like that mirror, that I may not be the best in the world at, or I need to improve upon. So, yeah.
Yeah, no, that's great. I mean, and that's the thing that you're gonna, we're all gonna find is that as new people, get into the business, not everybody is good at everything, and it's really key to identify people's strengths. Joe may be awesome in front of the room at hosting launch parties, and that's like his thing. And so really utilizing that skill and not feeling like, because not everybody has to be amazing at speaking in front of the room, but they could be just phenomenal at inviting people to events, and they're really good at that, and they're just getting butts in the seats. Another person may not be great at prospecting, but they could be just so great at follow-up, and they're so great at coaching people through like shake days or just being there for support, and really utilizing everybody's strengths, I think, is a key thing for sure. So let's talk about prospecting for a second. So we had and if you're listening in on the chat here, or if you're involved in the chat, feel free to answer any questions that you have. We had one come in from Mary Kate Murphy. So,
hey, Mary.
Mary, how are you? And she kind of wants to know a little more about prospecting. I know that we were going to get into this. So 70% of your time is done prospecting with the intention of bringing new people in. And I know that you've so what does that kind of look like for you? I know that you recently put up a post actually in Start where you had this new motto for yourself that everybody wants to be my friend. That was your motto. And then, and so can you kind of talk a little bit about how you prospect? And really, we've got this whole vision in Start really to, ignite young people physically and financially and live a life of contribution. I know that you're kind of big on enrolling people into a vision when they can't really see it yet for themselves, or their own vision, enrolling it themselves into their vision. Can you kind of just touch on the skills on how you go about doing that?
Yeah, I think one, when it comes to prospecting, the first thing I tell people is don't be afraid to mess it up, because you ultimately you're just practicing. And as opposed to feeling like, I find that when people start having conversations, it's like, wait, and then they start talking to someone new and they think, oh man, I'm going to talk about the business. They're like, wait, do I say it now? Wait, do I say it now? And you don't think about what the person's saying in front of you. You just get into conversations. You're like, wait, when do I talk about the Isagenix thing? And my advice, I think first and foremost, is you got to get out of your own head. And I think the attitude always is, where is Isagenix a solution for the person across from you? And genuinely. And I think if you take the genuine interest to find out, okay, what's going on with this person across from me? How's their family? What's going on in their career? How's their health? And you're just absolutely interested in the person. You're going to find out things that you may not have known. You might find out that, they're having a tough time thinking about, okay, how am I going to afford, like I had a conversation with someone at school, like, oh my gosh, how am I going to afford preschool for my kid, let alone college, right? So, I mean, all those little side notes, or the fact that they're commuting 2 hours to work, or, they're just not being able to lose the weight that they thought they could get away with when they were in their 20s and their 30s. So I think, just being aware of who's in front of you is a big part of it. It doesn't always mean, and this is just my personal take on it, that you have to jump on them in that instant. Like, you don't have to be like, oh man, I'm exhausted. Well, let me tell you about my opportunity right now. I don't think that always has to be the case, but you might circle the wagons back around a week later and said, hey, you know what? You mentioned that, you were just burnt out, exhausted, 2 hours of commute each way to work. Honestly, I mean, we've been friends forever. I wouldn't feel good, right, being your friend, if I didn't tell you what I had and what I'm doing. I came across a company that really has changed my health, but more importantly, I think it's a solution to go out there and do something more. Would you look at what I'm doing, right? I think it's just a basic conversation of would you look at what I'm doing? From the most basic standpoint, that's essentially what you're asking people to do. Now, I think you can get into that conversation multiple ways. I mean, you might be talking to someone and want to share your vision of what's new in your life. And someone says, well, what's new? And says, well, I'm working on a project right now. And as my wife and I, or Myvan and I, we're parents, and we've got this beautiful daughter named Aiden. Our vision is to go out there and help more parents that choose to be at home and be present with their kids, and not have to, if they choose to, take off in the morning and get to work and put their kids in daycare, but to really be present in their children's lives. And we want to liberate and change more people. You might share what that vision is. I think it's any way to go out there and start having a genuine conversation. Well, what is that? Well, how do you do that? And the goal is obviously never to really get into it, not to be, cagey, or not to be, not to answer questions, but the goal is always to get people to check out information. I mean, all you're really asking people to do is, will you look at a quick video? Will you check out Isamovie? Will you see something? And, I had someone in real estate once say, Eric, he said, Jason, if I'm talking to a room full of 100 people, he said that maybe 10 to 20% of the people in that room have a need or want for my product right now, right this very moment. Right. But in 6 to 18 months, close to 60% of that room will either be that person or know someone out there that has a need or want for my product. So even if it's not now, it's not like you're gonna blow them out of the water, like, oh, forget you suck and jobs suck. You're not gonna do that. It's hey, no worries. I love you. I'm here if you ever need something, or if I can ever help you. And oh, by the way, who do you know? So that was a bit scattered, but yeah, I don't know if that answers the question.
I love that point of, hey, you got 100 people in a room, 20 may want exactly what you have now, but 6, 8, a year from now, or from that point, another 20 or 40 in that room may want what you have now. I mean, it really is all timing for people. And you look at all the people who have joined Isagenix and become successful, become Isagenix millionaires. I mean, I would bet that 98% of them weren't ready when they were first introduced to Isagenix. I mean, and what if those people would have gave up on them, or, and so I think asking permission to, hey, I'm here for you. If you need anything, or if you're ever in a situation in your life when you're looking for something like that, hey, I'm here. But again, who do you know? I think that's crucial, because it's so easy to get down on yourself. You could say the most articulate, eloquent thing that you've ever heard, prospecting 101, mastering the skills, but if it lands on somebody that's not ready, it's not what the words that came out of your mouth's fault. It's the person just not ready. And I think that's something that, again, people, I just think that's critical.
Can I second something on that point there? Because I think what's great about the comment you just said too is, I think in this industry, in the profession, at least this was my original coaching and network marketing, it's like, you got to go out there and talk to everyone. We used to have this rule called the 3-foot rule. Like, if they're breathing, you go talk to them. Like, whoever it might be, just you go pitch your product, your company on this person. And I think hopefully some time has aged me and given me a little bit more wisdom, hopefully. But I think one thing that we forget, at least I've forgotten about the group, is it's kind of weird if you come out of left field and just pitch someone on your product or tell someone about your business. I think the real masters in the industry of business and in sales, and if you really look at them, it's how well oiled their network is. Like, how often have you popped in for no good reason? Not because you needed something from someone, but how often are you physically in people's lives and saying, hey, what's going on? Or just saw your post on Facebook, kids look great, everyone looks awesome, hope you're well. I mean, how often are you just engaging your community around you? And some of the most powerful business people I know, and outside the profession of network marketing, are just complete masters of networking. I've got a mentor that literally, he'll read the Wall Street Journal, he's reading, the Economist, and he's clipping articles out and sending them off to his friends because that's what they're interested in. But if he ever needs something, it's almost like he's got so many favors in the bank that he's done for other people that when he asks for something, everyone jumps. And
Wow.
I think so often we forget about what type of value are we really providing for the community that we're asking from as well. So
That's
anyway.
I love that. I've never really heard that before. I mean, it's just being that person that is so just always wants to bring value to people with no agenda. I think
Yeah.
that's and I love that idea of just clipping articles, sending them off, or it could be easy. How easy is it with Facebook? I mean, just PMing somebody, just wishing them a happy birthday, hope you're well, thinking about you, hope the kids are great, just any of that stuff. I love that. Well-oiled network. That's good. And I also love what you said about, getting people involved in this project. I know that you had posted something in Start a while back, kind of this 5-step process of letting somebody know about a project, inviting them into the inclusive vision that you had, which you kind of mentioned. Your project was identifying more parents that want to spend more time at home with your kids, and you're passionate about it. And then the next thing that you mentioned was characteristics. I'm looking for, people that are motivated and passionate and want to do this. Are you open to looking at a video and then following up? Can you just kind of walk through that for me a little bit? So I just think that it's important for people to kind of see these steps.
Sure.
It's just kind of a formula that an easy invitation formula. And what I also got from you too is, again, it's just about asking questions, not something you just have to fling on them right away. But this could be something you asked, 3 weeks after you had the initial conversation with the person.
So let's pull back out for just a second. And I think that there's some context to be set here too. So in network marketing, your ultimate goal is to go out there and, you're building a network, and it's not just about one person. So how able are you to go out there and teach other people to do what you're doing? I really find that where people hit hot water, especially A-type personalities, that are like, you know what, I've been in sales forever, or I've owned a business before, or I'm a figure of influence, and they'll just go out there and do it. They crush it because of who they are. The challenge is most people are terrified to go out there and connect. They're terrified of rejection. I mean, I know I grew up shy, introvert. I had a hard time looking people in the eye. I mean, that's just who I was when I grew up. Now I changed that story, but I think the big part is I think the hope is for people to look at you and say, okay, if he can do it or she can do it, I can do it. And so the simpler you make it and the easier you make it, the more duplicatable it is. And I think where people really run into hot water is where they try to do it all themselves, where they don't use the tools, they don't use support, and they're like, hey, I'm going to be Superman. And that's great for that person, but everyone else says, well, I'm not Superman, or I'm not that influencer, therefore I can't do it. And they create more of a handicap than, I think they intend to. So with that being said, the idea of the conversation is it doesn't matter what you use. I think different organizations have different verbiage, but something really small. Say, look, here are your 4 or 5 bullet points. Here are the basics, right? So the conversation, like you said, Eric, is getting to the point where, and I gotta look at my notes here too. Getting here to the point where you've identified the person. You said, look, I'm starting a project. I think project is a really easy term. It's not business where people feel like, oh, I can't take on another business. I'm starting a project. So it's intriguing. What are you doing?
Yeah.
And then in creating some sort of inclusive vision. I got taught this by Susan Sly, who's my mentor in my upline. And Susan talks about something that she says, who are you looking to attract into your business? I think so often we see like, I'm not a bodybuilder, right? I like to work out, but I'm not a bodybuilder. So, I think people say, okay, well, I want to get the next like Lori Harder. I want to find the next Chris Harder, or I want to recruit like, the next Natalie, or, whatever it might be. And I think you got to figure out who you are and what your brand is, and be authentically that. And who are you trying to attract that's like-minded, and what's your thing? So for me, I mean, I'm super excited to be a dad. I'm super excited to be a stay-at-home dad and hang out with my kids. So for me, it's attracting other people that want to do that. Or you might be someone that, loves to travel. Like we're, going to Italy in a few weeks. So maybe it's getting excited about getting people to travel more, buy their first home, whatever it is. But whatever that inclusive vision is, saying, look, we want to go out there and help 10 people achieve X, or 5 people do X, or it could be just 10 people getting healthy as they've ever been in their entire life. Just whatever that inclusive vision is, and then genuinely complimenting. So step 3 is, how can you go out there and identify what you love about the person across from you? So you're a great connector, or you've got a great smile, or you're always, I mean, you're always so positive when you connect with people, or whatever you love about that person, identify it. And then the only closer question is, would you be willing to look at what I'm doing? And 9 times out of 10, I'm almost 10 out of 10, no one ever says no. Like if you're pouring your heart of what your passion is, and you say, look, this is why I think you'd be great at it, Eric, would you look at what I'm doing? I mean, everyone pretty much for the most part is gonna say, yeah, I'll look at it. And the only thing that I'll recommend all of you do is set up a time to follow up. Say, look, I don't wanna be the guy, Eric, that's like calling you 24/7 or texting you. Look, all I want you to do is check out what I'm doing. You're either gonna say, hey, I love it, or maybe now it's not my thing, maybe I know somebody else, but either way, let's set up a time where I can follow up with you. So, one in the next day or so, you're gonna have 15 minutes to check out some information. Tonight, after I go play with the dogs, cool, man, I'll call you tomorrow morning at 8:30. Does that work? Perfect. And you're just setting up a time to follow up. So that way you're not the weird network marketer, like chasing everyone around and everyone's like, oh man, it's Jason calling me again. So yeah.
Awesome, that's great. So again, it was the steps were project, inclusive vision, characteristics, send them to a video, and then schedule an appointment to follow up.
Yep. Perfect.
I love it. So we're getting a couple questions on the chat, and I know we weren't really going to cover this, but it's a objection, I guess, that comes up a lot. And this was asked by Kima, I hope I'm saying that right, and also Beth, about you send them something, they're like, okay, it looks great, but this looks expensive. It looks expensive to me. How do you go about kind of handling that objection, or is it something deeper where maybe we didn't create enough value to really create value to say, hey, the person does need the products and I don't really care about price?
Yeah, I think it's a great question. It's a common question. So the good news in network marketing is if you learn like the 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 objections that you're going to get, you're pretty much golden. When it comes to cost, it's context. So if someone's asking you about cost prior to them watching a video, I personally am not going to answer the question about cost until they watch some sort of context. It'd be like going to the gym, and before you even step foot in like the brand new gym, it'd be like, hey, it's gonna cost you $2,700 a year. You know what I mean? Like you don't have any context. You're like, well, that place down the road is like $19 a month, right? So you don't know why. But you go to the gym, they bring you around, they show you like the Pilates studio, the hot yoga studio, the brand new facilities, the spa, the massage, and you're like, oh, by the way, after a week pass, it's gonna cost you this much. And your brain can wrap around the idea of, okay, I understand the value of what it is first. So when it comes to this business, if someone's like, hey, I want you to look at what I'm doing, but they haven't seen anything, and they say, Jason, well, how much is this gonna cost? Or I don't wanna pay a lot of money. Say, look, I understand that, and that's the reason why you're gonna check out what I'm doing, because honestly, we're gonna customize it based on your need and your budget. But first, I need you to check out what we're doing. When in the next day or so, you're gonna spend 15 minutes to check out what I'm doing. Tonight, great, watch it. Now, what I also know from someone asking the question that's expensive is most people don't think about costs of their food in terms of a monthly expense. They think about what I spent at a coffee shop this morning. They think about what I went out and ate with my friends. The $15 I went and go spend out at lunch with my coworkers. But they don't think about monthly expenses. So once they've seen video, once they've seen some sort of value build for what it is that we do, my personal opinion is if you don't have experience, or ideally you're gonna be able to put them on the phone with some sort of an expert. You're gonna 3-way out to somebody where if you're brand new, it gives you the ability to listen into what your upline says, what your mentor says, and learn. Which, by the way, guys, if your upline's doing calls, you better have a pen and pad and be writing furiously, because that's your time to really learn. It's not just, hey, upline, close everything for me. It's like, hey, what can I learn? What nuggets of information can I take from it? And then secondly, it's your expert's job to break it down, right? So if someone says, well, how much does it cost? I initially lead with, and obviously these are rough, but you're gonna say, look, the President's Pack, it's $20 a day. It's a one-time investment into your health of $20 a day for 2 meals, 2 snacks, and you get into what the value is, or the Pacesetter Pack is $14 a day. And when you break it down to that, and you're letting people know, look, it's a one-time investment into feeling better than you've ever felt. It's $14 a day or $20 a day. I mean, people can then begin to wrap their head around, okay, I can see how this is actually going to save me money. And the other half too is, if you really need to, tell stories. I mean, tell genuine, truthful stories of people in your team that have saved money on the program. Like, we had a mom of 4 who, ended up saving money for her family because she had pre-planned out meals and wasn't going out and grabbing fast food or, what was at the coffee shop. So hopefully that answers the question.
That's great. Well, you're getting huge reaction on the chat. People are loving it. So that's really helpful for people. And I love the $10 a day, $20 a day thing, really breaking out the President's Pack, getting people started. The other thing I'd say about objections, I mean, we could do a whole start talk. We could do 10 hours on how to handle objections. But I always, one thing I really believe in is that typically if you are consistently getting that price objection, or it could be any objection, it could be that you're getting the objection that, oh, what is this network marketing, one of those pyramid schemes? It's typically you're getting that objection because somewhere deep in the core of you, you don't totally believe in network marketing, or you don't totally believe in that the products are worth how much they are. And so I would encourage you, if you find an objection that's coming up a lot for you, whether it be price or network marketing, whatever the objection is, really take some time to build your belief on that area. And you'd be amazed at that objection, just kind of like, well, people don't ask me that anymore because your belief is so through the roof that you just don't get it anymore.
Completely 100% agree. I got a guy that started on a 30-day program that had a hard time selling President's Packs. And I was like, look, go buy a President's Pack. Seriously, go buy a President's Pack. Start there and understand the value of what's there. And honestly, he bought a President's Pack. Next thing you know, he's enrolling people on President's Packs because he understands the value of the program. So to your point, I absolutely agree. It's internal.
Awesome. Okay, so moving on here. Let's talk a little bit about kind of duplication and getting somebody set up for success the right way. So let's say the person's enrolled, they're getting on the products, they're having a great experience, and they're saying, okay, I want to do this, as a business. Maybe let's step back and say, what do you do to get somebody set up for success on the products? And then kind of as a product user, and then let's say they want to become a product sharer and start sharing their products and start building a business. What are you plugging them into to really set them up for success in both?
Sure. I think those first 48 hours of someone enrolling are probably the most crucial. I think that's where you're going to run into the most. I mean, think about spending $500, outside of the context of being a part of Isagenix, but spending $500, then having to go home and tell your spouse, oh my gosh, I just spent $559 on nutrition. For some people, that's a scary conversation. So understand that that's what you're up against. So I think arming people in those first 48 hours, timing is really crucial. So when someone enrolls, we teach our team before they hang up the phone, they've got to set up a couple different steps. So number one, you guys might have this in your own groups. We have our own private Facebook group for our team. So what we're going to do is, as soon as they enroll, ideally, we're going to welcome them into that private Facebook group. And they're going to see stories about people having success in the program. They're going to hear from other people. Other people are going to be welcoming them. So I think it really diffuses the buyer's remorse within the initial purchase, because that's when people are really most vulnerable. We're also going to let them know that they're going to get some sort of a welcome email. And this is for both product users, business builders, doesn't matter. They're going to get a welcome email. And we love to CC 1 or 2 other people so that say, look, Eric, if you can't get a hold of me for any reason, maybe I'm with my family, you have these other people to support you through this program, and they're going to welcome you here as well. In that email, it just reinforces everything we're saying. So number one, look, you're going to be added to this Facebook group. Number two, in the welcome email, we're having people watch a couple of videos. So the first 2 in there and saying, look, it's going to take about an hour to get through. The first 2 videos are going to be really short. They're going to walk you through what a cleanse day is here with Isagenix and what a shake day is. So people are already getting excited about what is going to show up at their doorstep. They're understanding how they're going to use the system. And mentally, they're wrapping around their head around, okay, I'm going to start with a shake, my Onyx, my Isoflush, or my Accelerator, Isoflush at night. They're getting an idea of what that routine is going to look like. And more importantly, it's making the process a lot more duplicatable, because I think where we really ran into hot water was, people saying, well, I've got 2 hours a day to build my business. I'm spending an hour with each person showing them how to unpack their products and like how to, how to use it and when to use it. And it just was taking up time. So I said, look, we have to put the ownership on the person that purchased the product. You need to watch the information here on how to use their system. And then we're gonna set up a product introduction call. So look, we're adding you to the Facebook group, sending you this welcome email. We're gonna have to watch these videos before we get in the call. When in the next day or so are you going to watch them? And then we're gonna schedule a follow-up product introduction call, which should only be about 20 minutes, right? So it's, affirming, okay, what are your goals? This product introduction calls, okay, what are your goals, Eric? What are you looking to achieve? If you could wave that magic wand over your body, what would you love to look like? You know what I mean? So getting them really tied to why they're doing it. Yeah. Asking me if they have any objections, like are there things that are gonna pop up in your life that, you've got like a weakness for potato chips or for diet soda or whatever it is, like, what are we doing to make sure that they have healthy alternatives? And sometimes people order more products, making sure they understand IsaBody and the $200 voucher they get for starting and completing it and the free gear that they get, asking if they have any questions. And then obviously, how do they want to be communicated with? I'm going to check in with you, a text message day before the cleanse day. If you have any questions, here's Dr. Ina, here are the resources. And I'm always big on at least asking questions, saying, look, I'm forecasting the future. Like, Eric, you're going to love these products, right? You're going to feel amazing on them. And people are gonna start to ask you, like, what the heck are you doing? Like, why do you look so good? Why do you have so much energy? And, do you have any desire, once you start transforming your body here, to possibly get your products paid for, start earning an income here with Isagenix? So it's always being able to have that extra conversation where, maybe someone, it may not be right then and there. You're like, same with prospecting. It may not be right then and there where they decide to build the business. But if you keep asking, the timing's right, you never know who's going to turn into that builder. So that's what we do for product users.
Okay, that's a great system. I love the little thing you just talk about. Hey, once you start, you're going to start seeing results, within a couple of days. These products are incredible. And so when you do, just start making a list of some people that, that could benefit from this, because you're going to want to share it, because people are going to start asking what you're doing. I think that's an easy way to just kind of step people in to go from product user the product sharer, because most people in Isagenix, probably over 90%, just start for the product, and then they transition to the business because our products are so great and they can't help but share them, which is awesome. So now let's say you've got the product sharer, they want to go out and saying, okay, Jason, I'm ready to go. I'm excited. I want to do this. What are kind of the steps that you take them through? I mean, are you getting them to their why? Are you having them make a list? Facebook posts? What's kind of that step look like?
So same thing as like kind of watching the product introduction or watching the cleanse day and shake day. We kind of created a tool where it's our own version of a getting started training. So it really dials into 3 major areas. So getting them really dialed into, okay, why are you building this business? What is that big vision that you're looking to create? Is it to get yourself out of your career? Is it to, travel more? I mean, what is that you're looking to create? So dialing them into that why. We actually love having people watch Peter's video as well about that, creating that why and understanding it if they want to take that hour to do that. But getting them dialed into the why is the first part of it. I think the second part of it is if they haven't understood like ACMDE or how the compensation, just the basics. I'm not going to sit there and be like, okay, here's the cycle and here's how it banks and just basics of how it begins to grow. I think being able to connect the dots between what is your reason why and being able for them to say, look, if I go out there and put one right, one left, help them put one right, I see how this begins to grow. Or if I go executive, help 10 people get their products paid for, I can see how this income starts to help me get closer to what this why is. So it's connecting the dots for them, I think, is a really big part of it. It allows them to say, okay, this is my vehicle now. This is what's going to get me to where I want to go. So, why, understanding a little bit of the compensation plan. But the biggest part here is getting people comfortable and confident with connecting. And I think that social media has played such a huge role in this because it's allowed people a completely different level of, it's like I can hide behind my screen, which, we're here right now, but I can hide behind my screen a little bit, right? And still connect with my friends. So, I mean, Zach and Eden's Facebook post has been priceless, especially for people that have a lot of resistance with picking up the phone or texting or just connecting with people is, okay, I'm going to put my post up. And what we're seeing is on average, 3, 7, 10 people are saying, like, what are you doing? Well, what is this? And you can really begin to generate some basic interest on, on Facebook or on social media, on Instagram, and then giving them a basic conversation around how to connect. Like, what do you tell your friends, or how do you get people to look at information, kind of like what we just talked about, those 5 steps. But I think the most crucial part of it, and the last piece of it, is giving people a 2-week game plan. So Eric, you said you've got 15 hours a week to go out there and build this business. Let's actually have you go out there and grab your planner and let's schedule this thing. So here's the Monday night, webinar that you're going to be on. Here's the training that I want you to plug into. Here's the upcoming events. And oh, by the way, we have 8 hours left. You and me are going to go out there and make calls together, or we're going to do a text blast together or something, so that, in those 30 days when they've got that excitement, you just don't be like, hey, good luck to you, and send them off to the wolves. It's okay, let's build some hard skills here so that people can really get some traction and build some success.
Awesome. Yeah, I love that. And I think that if for those curious, the Zach and Eden Facebook post, that's on isagenixbusiness.com under the Start Here section. And a lot of people will say, hey, instead of just saying, hey, go to isagenixbusiness.com, that's your guide, go for it. I mean, that's setting people up to fail. But walking them through it, saying, hey, go to isagenixbusiness.com, and I want you to watch, this video, and this video, and then, let's have a call on Tuesday night and tell me what you learned, what action steps you can take going forward. So, isagenixbusiness.com is there so you can be the tour guide to send people, but it's our responsibility to say, okay, this is what I want you to do now. Go do it, and then we'll follow up, see how it went, and then get some action steps from there. I think that's a missing link that some people forget about.
I think there's a lot of theory in the industry. I think the industry as a whole, what I see is there's a lot of training from the stage, which is great. But what I really love, and David Wood does this, you guys have University in Action, but the actual practice part, like physically, like you watch me make a call, now you make a call, like I think is really what pays huge dividends. And if you really want to get people up and moving and rocking, it's getting them practiced with the skills. Like, how often are you practicing your conversation? How often are you practicing your ask? If you're doing presentations, how often are you practicing the presentation? So, it's, if you want to be a great athlete, if you want to be a great network marketer, you practice those skills.
Yeah, that's right. Experiential learning is the best by doing. It's always the best. So, and I think Ben Kelly said on the last Start Talk, he said, he said he felt like he was terrible all the way to 7-star. And it was like, how long could you feel like going out and being terrible at something? If it got you to 3, 4, 5, 6-star, would it be worth it? And I think most people would, say yes. So we just got all willing to be bad, because living in any practice, everybody wants to be so great right off the get-go, but that's just not reality. I remember the first time that I spoke on stage or did anything, I was freaking awful. And so I think that, but through practice, through falling on our faces, messing up, we just get better. Only way to learn. So one thing I want to kind of end on, we'll end on 2 things. One thing, you've been around, you said, for I think 14 years in network marketing. If somebody were to whisper in your ear 14 years ago and say, Jason, like, you have to know this, like, spend more time doing this and less time doing this, what would that conversation look like? One thing you would know.
I think the industry would like to highlight a lot of the rocket ship stories, and it's really easy to get caught up in the rocket ship stories, but that's not going to be the case for most people in network marketing. I don't think I necessarily fell into a rocket ship story either. Nothing in network marketing ever came really, really easy for me. And if there's one thing I could say to people, and I wish I had a mentor that told me really early on, he said, Jason, you got to be gentle with yourself, in the sense that, look, your story might take longer. It may not be overnight, but if this is what you really want, you really believe this is the vehicle to get you there, how long are you willing to go out there and do this for? And I think there's something to be said about stick-to-itiveness. I think there's something to be said about showing up. We all have different starting points in this business. So I wish someone come in and said, look, don't compare yourself to everyone else. You're you. Focus on you. Get better each and every single day. And I think the really great people in this industry, it's their habits. If you really look at what separates, the top 20% from the top 1% in network marketing. It's what they do day in and day out. And it's like finely tuned athlete. They show up at the gym every, whenever they're day in, day out, even if they don't feel like it. And the same is true in this industry is they show up, they do the presentation, they do the work, they pick up the phone day in and day out, because you never know when that one conversation is going to be the person.
I love it. And I love the whole idea of just being kind to yourself. It's so easy to get in comparison mode. There's a lot of people climbing through the ranks in Isagenix, and it's easy to compare, your results to that person's results. But I think that just knowing that everybody's on their own separate journey, and it really is the stories of persistence and determination that define Isagenix. I think that's awesome. So I always tell people that if you're that person that is maybe, hey, you're not going as fast as you want to, or you just hit 1 star after 6 years, whatever it is, just think about how much more powerful your story is going to be when you share it. When you do hit 3, 4, 5, 6 star, knowing that, it took you 6 years, but you stuck with it. So many more people are going to be able to relate to you, because that's like 98% of the people. That's one of the reasons why people relate to Alexis Romano is, I think that, for her first 5 years in Isagenix, I think, she was cycling maybe like 6, 7, 8 times after the 4th year. And then she went from that to making over $1 million a year within like a 2-year span. It was just remarkable. So you got to love the persistence and determination. So speaking of good habits, we always like to end on reading. So what books are you reading? What are ones that have made a big impact in your life that you recommend to people? I'm a big, I go to the old books, like Napoleon Hill. Like I will always go back to Think and Grow Rich. I'm a big fan of like Good to Great, Built to Last. Those are big ones. I think I will always go back to The Secrets of Success by Napoleon Hill, which is the kind of the unabridged version of Think and Grow Rich that he did. It's about 1,000 pages. But I like that stuff. Like I like the original stuff. I like the original kind of books out there. I like Tim Ferriss's stuff. I'm definitely a big fan of like Malcolm Gladwell. I think there's a good amount. I think these days there's so much video content out there too, that everyone has their own niche in terms of what you can learn from. So I think there's always something to go to. But in terms of, oldies but goodies, I'm always listening to like old school, like Earl Nightingale stuff. Like I've got like old cassette tapes from the old, Earl Nightingale, like the cassette, fold out stuff that I still listen to. So it depends on what I'm in the mood for. That's awesome. I know Peta's like all-time favorite is The Strangest Secret. Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah. She said that when she was first starting Isagenix, she listened to that like over 200 times in a row, so that it just ingrained and she became it. And that's such a fundamental one that's so good. I think there's just like there's only so much. I love that there's always new content out there. There's always new stuff to learn from. But if you really look at the source, there's a couple really great trainers out there that everything came from, I think. So Earl Nightingale is one of them. Yeah. Awesome. Yeah. Well, man, Jason, thanks so much for joining us tonight. The chat is going nuts here. We had just over hundreds and hundreds of people on the line. And we're just grateful that you spent the time on this Monday to share your wisdom and knowledge and just really help a lot of people. So thanks for your leadership, man. Thanks for having me, man. It was fun. You bet. All right. So next Start Talk will be the next, in November, on the first Monday of November. And wanted to let everybody know that December 4th, we want you to mark your calendar. December 4th is our first ever Start Online University. So December 4th, mark your calendar. It's going to be from 4 p.m. to 8 p.m. Pacific time on Friday. For Australia, if you're tuning in from Oz or New Zealand, that is Saturday morning. So more details coming soon on that. But we're going to have Mary Hardy, Jacob Leaf speaking, Mara Pamana, Jason's going to be on there, Laura Stevens. It's going to be a phenomenal training, Start Online University. That's going to be just ignite everybody's business, especially if you're new. So, Jason, thanks again, man. And we'll see you on the next Start Talk next month in November.
Thanks, guys.
See you, everyone.